Good evening to all the good evening to all the viewers of this serious portal, the Fertile Brains. I am really thrilled to present before you the brief sketch of my book, Life in the Times of Corona. This is a very slim volume. I have written this book in response to a competition organized by Writers Gram publication in 2021, in which I was subjected to write for continuous 21 days, anything, either stories, poems, or anything. That labor of my 20 days, 21 days was certified in the form of this book, which was published in the Writers Gram publication. It was published in 2021, just one after the corona pandemic broke and rather devastated the life of India, not only in India, but throughout the world. This book is mainly concerned with the calamity of COVID-19, in which India, in India, a national emergency was imposed in April 2020 by our Prime Minister, and the 1 year, just at the beginning of 2020, it was rather an experience which nobody should to even view back. It was such a disastrous year where everything failed. Every notion of good living or healthy living or even societal norms, they were almost shattered. But during these times, when I went through the newspapers daily, I saw it on television. There are several stories which I was lucky to see and lucky to read, which enhanced my faith in the humanity of people, particularly in India. Had it not been so, I would not have realized that we Indians are so large-hearted, we Indians are so philanthropic, we are so helping, and I got some real gems of people all over India, and their stories I read, I still remember those stories. I simply wrote such stories which were published, or mainly published, or which I viewed it in television. I wrote these stories in my own words. That is what I have done. Because stories were published in Hindi languages, in Hindi newspapers, in English newspapers. So I picked up such stories and I presented it in my own words. Besides that, there are 20 stories in this book which are all, you see, impregnated with humanism. How people affected by the COVID or living in the castrated atmosphere went out of the way to help the sufferers. Besides that, I have written 11 poems also in Hindi and English both. So that made up for my 21 days writing journey. In when you go through the, you see, content of the this book, you will get an idea of what kind of stories are there. Like the first chapter is human element in governance, cops or superhumans, marriage is a temporal affair, do gaz zameen, lockdown should not be a missed opportunity, the silent warriors, India Post, an avoidable tragedy, everyday heroes, profiles in courage, angels everywhere, significance of family during lockdown, corona as a teacher, education in the virtual mode, writing letters during lockdown, the strange journey of the camel milk when civil servants set an example during corona crisis, when humanity shines brighter, corona shades of grey, socializing in the times of social distancing, railway platforms during corona, and corona poems. That means people from every walk of life. There were frontline workers, there were doctors, nurses, paramedical staff, police personnel, and there were students also. Moreover, there were inconsequential parts of the population like children, teenagers, old persons, and young persons alike who did their best to provide some relief to the victims, not only victims, but who are rather confined to, who are subjected to confinement at their homes. They did a wonderful job. So this is a panorama of activities which all these sections of the people did not only in their capacity, official capacity, but as a perfect human beings. I felt proud and still proud of being an Indian because there were so many people who carved a niche in my heart just because of their tremendous efforts. Police, we all rather shudder even to see or even to think about the police activities which we read many times in the newspapers. But how wonderful work they performed during this pandemic is needs to be mentioned again and again. They provide some valuable help to the people who were stranded in between, who need some kind of help and other things. Similarly, the doctors, paramedical staff, and the workers, which we say frontline workers, they risk their life to go into open out of their precincts, out of their territories, to provide any kind of relief, any kind of help to the person who was stranded in their homes or who needed some kind of help during the pandemic. Moreover, there were even the civil servants, which are known to be an exclusive class, an elite class who don't want to mix people freely. But they also came up, they also did whatever they were expected to do, not as a not as a government agents, but as a person, as a human beings. So everywhere, post office man, postman, he was regularly coming to our houses, and that was only means of he was the only person who was making us connected with our near dear ones. He was regularly bringing our parcels, our letters, our you see anything which we seek, which we gather from the post office, even the money order. He was also providing financial assistance. Post officers did a wonderful job during this period when there was money crunch also. Similarly, Like in one chapter, I have um, I have titled my chapter as Do Gazameen. When there was so much crisis of, you see, making, you see, last rites of any person who died in Corona, nobody, even nobody from their family or his family or her family came up due to the fear of Corona. In that case also, some people from the vicinity, some people from some NGO, people from other parts of society, they came up and they did perform the last rites. They managed the, you see, hair scar. They managed all other formalities, and hardly there was hardly any person whose last rites was not converted, or I said not, you see, managed due to absence of non-performance of their relatives, their own, or whose relatives were away from this country, away from home. There was nobody to take care of them. And in that case also, I read in Lucknow, my own city, there were few Muslim families who performed the last rites of their neighbors who were Hindus, because there was nobody to take care of them. The person who died was all alone in his or her house, and their relatives were far away. So there, as a neighbor, they came up, they performed their last rites. They never cared about their own well-being. They risked their life. So it was the, you see, prime of humanity, which I witnessed during the Corona times. It was a very, very bad time, harsh time, but it also produced so many gems of humans who served humanity without even thinking of their well-being. They took risk, calculated risk, and performed every kind of work, every kind of job that they were expected to do. Even the in one story, I have described one. There was a footwear seller, a small shop of footwear. He put all his footwear along the pathway, along the highway, so that anybody coming on foot, going to his rental place, if he is in need of some footwear, he almost gave all these persons free of his footwear, pulse, shoes, and other things. So there was a small girl of 11, 12 years. She used to cook food for the stray dogs because there was no food available in the streets. So she took a carton or two with filled with food and distributed it at the corners where the dogs, the stray dogs, street dogs used to assemble, so that no dog could die of hunger. So there are, you see, umpteen stories. There are so many stories. Even you see in Bombay, I think in Mumbai also, young boys, they formed a band of music. They they went to the top of their building, and three or four boys in different buildings. They also mixed their instruments on the top of their houses, and they formed a band. They they you see, they created music, and they created music so uh, beautifully that it extended to the whole locality. They, they did it with the help of Wi-Fi, other things, technical help, but they did it because people were so depressed at that time. They were feeling morass and helplessness. So they provided help in the form of music, which really boosted their morale. Like that, a person, a young man, he created a WhatsApp group of old persons, old and retired persons who were feeling very alone. He joined them all through WhatsApp group, and he made it a point to exchange their views, exchange their entries, exchange their jokes, exchange their experiences through WhatsApp. And that WhatsApp group of so many people, old people, infirm people, retired people, it helped a lot in maintaining their mental peace and happiness. So there were so many innovations with the help of technology and with the imbibed with the courage and faith and spirit to help others. They created almost a history of mankind. Similarly, there were people, sometimes they were single people, otherwise they formed a group and they prepared food and they kept in a polythene bag and they just put that bag on the door or on the gate of a person whose family was quarantined. There was no provision for food. So they provided food by hanging them onto the gate or to the food. So no, the purpose was that no person should die of hunger just because they can't go outside. There was no provisions available in the house. So you see how much you go deeper into these things, you will you will discover so many pearls of human endeavor uh, which were strewn around us. So I have just collected even a very few instances, very few stories, and put it in my own words. One more thing, you see, even marriages which could not be solemnized in a traditional way were also solemnized with the help of this internet, with the help of the, your WhatsApp groups. I very well remember that a person, the bride was from Mumbai and the boy was from somewhere in Singapore or some other country, and they performed their marriage with the help of this internet and WhatsApp. So these innovations, with the help of technique, so they created a lot of happiness for the people who were disappointed, who were depressed during the times of Corona. To say, this may appear, you see, uh, not very important, but still it is important because so many girls, so many boys, so many persons use the YouTube. They learned a lot about cooking, about singing, about any other activities of their choice. And so many of them became a good chefs also. Because when you go through YouTube, there is a treasure of all these things. So they learned about cooking also, they learned about our music also, and any matter of any subject of their choice, they learned it through the help of social media. So no doubt, social media was a great enabler to the well-being of the society, and it proved that social media was a great help to the persons who were afflicted with the worst worst phenomena of our times. So these stories, and on the other hand, there were some you see visual stories also, that the most prominent of them were the about concerned about the laborers. who rushed to their villages from very, very distant places. Like from Mumbai, they went to Bihar and other places, from Gujarat and from south, the laborers, the daily wagers, they just rushed because on foot. There were no trains available, there were no regular buses available, no trucks were available, but still they managed. And in the process, a few persons lost their lives also. Very tragically, they lost their lives also. But I was amazed at seeing their, you see, determination to, to salvage the years that were left with them by going to their roots, by meeting their parents, by meeting their, you see, kith and kin. That strong desire drove them to walk every day, miles and miles. So that were stories of courage. I have jotted down under the name of profiles in courage. So although those were some of them were very tragic stories, but still that showed the resilience and the courage inside us as a human being. Very, very inspiring stories. So I have collected some of these stories and put it in this small booklet, Life in the Times of Corona. Now, although I wanted to write even more stories because but the challenge was for 21 days only, and it was organized by the Writers Gum publication. After 21 days, they published this booklet in a very short time. I want to decide one or two poems I wrote during this period. First in Hindi, it was, you see, it was a result of that tragic that tragedy that happened with some laborers when they were sleeping on the rails of, you see, where the train passed and they were mowed down rather. They were in a hurry to reach their destination. So that is the हम मजदूर हैं, हम मजदूर हैं, हम नाप सकते हैं हजारों मीलों की दूरी नंगे पाँव में। हम मजदूर हैं, हम नाप सकते हैं हजारों मील की दूरी नंगे पाँव से, लांग सकते हैं हम पर्वत और कंदराओं को, पैरों में पड़े छाले और फफोले खुद ब खुद जाते हैं हमारा श्रृंगार। पैरों में पड़े छाले और फफोले खुद ब खुद बन जाते हैं हमारा श्रृंगार। बचपन हमारा बीतता है खानों की दहलीज पर, और यौवन के ताप से दहकती हैं चिमनियां। बचपन हमारा बीतता है कारखानों की दहलीज पर, और यौवन के ताप से दहकती हैं चिमनियां। हमसे ही नया रूप लेते हैं बड़े लोग, हमसे ही नया रूप लेते हैं बड़े लोग, हमारे रक्त से सिंचित हैं इस धरा की नींव। करते हैं काम जब तक सांस में है सांस, करते हैं काम जब तक सांस में है सांस, रौंदती हैं जब रेलगाड़ियां हमें, रौंदती हैं जब रेलगाड़ियां हमें, करते हैं बड़े अदब से मृत्यु को सलाम, करते हैं बड़े अदब से मृत्यु को सलाम। कभी बेर या महुआ के फूलों को सुखाकर, या फिर मिट्टी की रोटियों की को धूप दिखाकर, कभी बेर या महुआ के फूलों को सुखाकर, मिट्टी की रोटियों को धूप दिखाकर खा लेते हैं अपनी भूख को, खा लेते हैं अपनी भूख को पत्नियों के साथ, निगल लेते हैं आंसुओं को स्वच्छ जल की तलाश में, यूं ही बुझाया करते हैं सदा से एक अनबुझी सी प्यास, सदा अनबुझी सी प्यास। Now in one English poem, Love and Hope in the Times of Corona. Life is there to enjoy and live, where hope looms large, enveloping the life. Life is there to enjoy and revel, where hope looms large, enveloping the life, yet one has to tread on life's path, which is full of thorns and strife. Despite all this, one has to smile always, crossing the hurdles in his own stride. Corona is a virus, which is deadly one, but precaution is necessary to fight the menace. We have to erase panic from our minds dictionary and be ready to fight with grace. We need to wash our hands with sanitizers time and again, and to avoid rush and crowd, we have to move in case of cough and fever to nearby hospital for checkup by doctors around. Let us fight corona with grit and vigor and zeal without losing our precious smile. Let us fight corona with grit and vigor and zeal without losing our precious smile. This deadly disease is curable in the beginning. This deadly disease is curable in the beginning by extending our hands of hope for a while. Neither love nor hope nor or smile on the faces should vanish in the time of corona epidemic. We will win even if situation is pathetic. We will win even even if situation is pathetic. One more poem is that is relates to the quarantine. It was a very common phenomenon at that time. When the country is inflicted with epidemic, pandemic, every person coming by flight or train has to undergo a physical checkup for which in a separate ward he is detained. For 14 days he remains under watch by doctors to know about symptoms of disease. If there is a symptom of epidemic contagious, he is shifted to hospital to check further increase. Those 14 days or further period of medication, one has to live alone without any kith or kin. Only doctors and nurses run the show, and Almighty God is always there to further assist. Life in quarantine is initially solitary confinement, where neither parents or friends are allowed to reach. Life outside is also standstill, as due to lockdown, the police don't allow any breach. Doctors are placed next to God and they try their best to fully treat the patients. When treated, all your family members and friends come running to you, even those who were reticent. That was the story of the quarantine. So there are 11 poems of Indian English, and I repeat, there are 20 stories. I wish I could have written more of these stories which were spread around us. Maybe many of us missed such stories, but there are plenty of stories in all parts of the country. So that was a very, you see, as a writer, that was a very, you see, satisfying experience for me. I can't say that was a nice experience because going through that ordeal can never be a nice experience, but it was very satisfying because I could at least relate to those persons who did magnificent job, who did proud to humanity, and who did proud to India as a venerable human beings. So that was the real satisfaction in writing such stories and writing this book, Life in the Times of Corona. And this book is available with Writers Dam publication, which is in Delhi or branch is also Haryana. So by typing my name of the book and Writers Dam publication, one can easily reach the book. Very short book of almost 70 pages, sorry, 82 pages, 83 pages, 83-page book. But I hope that anybody who will read this book will find satisfaction in reading these stories, will find solace in reading these stories, and his faith in the humanity, his faith in the goodness of human being will become 100 times enhanced, increased, because this is a time when nobody trusts each other, the other person. We are going through a crisis of trust, crisis of belief, and at, in such a times, books or the stories which inspire you, which instill more confidence into your life, are must be welcomed by all. This was all about my book, Life in the Times of Corona, and I really feel uh, grateful, and I will really be thankful to Prasannaji for giving me this opportunity, as he always graciously gives me any such opportunity to showcase my work. And I hope that the viewers or the listeners must have enjoyed this journey of writing a book for continuous 21 days. Thanks, and thanks very much to all who viewed and listened, and to Prasannaji. Thanks very much.